7-member team. It didn't hurt that she was on TV every night in her commercials, in her leadership role, her volunteer leadership role with the Alzheimer's Association, and Carol Weaver in Rensselaer County. Everybody was joking about where they have roots. The McGraws have very strong roots in Rensselaer County, and Carol knows I took running in Rensselaer County very, very seriously, and I had no better partner in that for Caroline than Carol Weaver. So it was a very, very strong team. As we knew, Bernie was going to do well, and Bernie did well. Bernie got about, as of today's counting, with about 30% of the absentees counted, Bernie is at about 20%. So what we don't know right now is if Bernie gets 1 delegate or Bernie gets 2. Joyce Love, who was a female on the Bernie slate, did very, very well. And she led the Bernie folks. So the counting will continue. We'll have a better idea tomorrow where everyone stands. But it's just been a tremendous effort. It's been a group effort. And the nice part about these calls and what we will continue to do, I hope everybody's going to call in tomorrow night for our Students for Biden event. The book discussion of how to be an anti-racist. And I think our Students for Biden are really excited about this. We have about 300 people signed up. So I think there's a real enthusiasm and there's a real energy. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we're gonna be training some phone bank captains. So if you want to do that, please let me know and I'll get you signed up for that. As Nye knows, one of our teammates on our team of leaders that are kind of taking over the campaign from the paid staff, one of them is just a phone bank whiz, and he is going to be helping train a team of phone bank captains for us tomorrow afternoon, and then we will start phone banks and we will kind of run them for upstate for anybody who wants to plug in now, get trained, run them throughout upstate, and then perhaps spin off and do them in their own community, doing them with us for a few weeks where they get their sea legs under them. We've had a great response to that so far, and we will see where we get, but we will start phone banks in earnest next Thursday night. And are we going to counties? Nate, counties?
Yes, I think we wanted to get Dan and Wanda, get them.
Oh, Dan and Wanda. Okay, the one person that I didn't mention, I thought I was going to introduce him, is Jack Flynn. So Jack just did a tremendous job opening up the headquarters to us while we could still go to our headquarters, really leading all of the efforts in Albany County. He had 2 hats to wear as Albany County Democratic Chair and as a leader of the delegate team. And just such a pleasure to get to know him and get to work with him. And everybody in Albany County knows just how terrific he is. And you're lucky to have him. You really are. He's just a fantastic guy. So Dan, are we tipping it over to Dan?
Denise, thank you. And I want to say this wouldn't have happened without you. It will be 17 weeks this Thursday for me without a day off, working around the clock with the COVID-19. And I can't thank you enough for your leadership, keeping this team together, because even though I was going in 50,000 different directions, you kept saying, hey, Dan, you got to get on this. You got to do that. You got to do this. So I can't thank you enough. And I know the delegates can't thank you enough for making us successful in moving forward with the message for Joe Biden. And that's what it's about. But one of the things I've taken away from this was Caroline. And to see a young adult do as well as she did and being up and coming, being the youngest delegate, says a lot. Not just everyone on this Zoom meeting, but around the state of New York, around this nation, because that is our bench. That's our bench for our future. There are future politicians, there are future people that are going to be making decisions on where we're going. And the only thing I have remorse about is the fact that she won't be able to go to Wisconsin and get that full experience and bring that energy to the party on a national level. But to everyone on here, you did great jobs. I mean, Ed, Dorothy, Carol, Jack, Wanda, everyone pulled together and got it done. And I can't thank everyone enough. And look, we got a long road ahead of us. I was hoping that Bernie didn't even get 20% of the vote here in the district. Because we have a message and we need unity. We need partnerships, we need cohesiveness, and we need to get the message of Joe out and make sure in November people know. Because listen, when you have 75,000 people in the capital region that are out of a job, and you have people looking to wonder how they're going to put food on their table as well as pay rent, and you have 1% of this nation, the most powerful and richest, and you don't really even have a middle class anymore. And one of the things I like about Joe's message is about the middle class, because we talk about it, but we really don't do much about it. And I'm looking forward to him going there and getting some stability to DC again, because just as much as I've watched Congress and the Senate, and I know party affiliation, but we need results for the people. And stimulus package 5 needs to come out, and we need Joe's leadership. He came out early on with points on the COVID-19. He made his statements quicker than the President of the United States did, and he showed his leadership. And he talked about how he would tackle this issue. Because I can tell you, and everyone, and Ed knows this being a fireman, that this isn't gone. It's still there in the community. I hope we don't get another wave. People are starting to feel normal again. If we get hit with another wave in October, it's going to set us back, and our economy is going to be set back. More now than ever, we need Joe's leadership in D.C. We need to stop this infighting with all the parties and put that all aside for the American people, because, you know, we have a lot of issues, from the Obamacare, from the judges being appointed to the Supreme Court, to people with disabilities. You got over 60 million people with disabilities that, you know, that don't get looked at right, and they don't get the right services, and they have so much they can contribute to this world. And these are things we need to address, not just minimum wage and everything else, and equality and all that stuff. We need someone with Joe's energy. We need someone that was there for 8 years under Obama, who's a phenomenal president, and we can continue on that path. And that can't be done without getting the message out. And it's just not here in New York State. We need to get it out across the rest of the nation. You know, I have the privilege of being president of County Executives of America, and I've been talking to Republican governors. They know. You know, it's, you know, everyone thought it's kind of funny. Let's put this guy in the White House, and it's like watching an apprenticeship. But it's not funny. And when times are good, you can sit back and laugh. When times this country is so divided and going in so many different directions, you need someone like Joe to bring everyone together, to unite, to come up with a plan how we can move forward, heal this nation. And Joe's the guy to heal this nation. And I look forward to helping him get elected in November, but especially to this team and to Carolyn. I'm going to have fun watching you grow into your next role as you continue to move up into all the delegates. We did a good showing, and hopefully we continue in this direction as they open up absentee ballots. I know Jack and them will talk about that. But again, thank you for everyone for your work and for continuing to get this message out. And one of the things that we have to continue to look at is the amount of absentee ballots that were just cast this primary versus November, because if this continues that way, you're going to see more people than ever before drop absentee ballots. And we have to watch that. We have to get the message out to the people sitting at home and let them know that we need to start going in the right direction. So again, Denise, I cannot thank you enough for what you've done. I hope Joe Biden's team realizes all the stuff that you have done to everyone that's on this, and to, I know, the people that aren't delegates like Jay Crawford and you know, and other people that have done great work to promote this team, to get our message out there. And there's a, you know, there's a strong message out there for Bernie Sanders. There's people working it, but it was time that we came together as one. And I, you know, it's good to have a good primary. It's good to go in different directions, but at this point in time, we need to be together, and we can't be pointing fingers and defeating ourselves like we did 4 years ago. We need to put our differences aside, get Joe in there, and fix the problem. But again, thank you, Nate, and for hosting it, and everyone else that's on this Zoom call.
Thank you so much, Dan, for those words and for helping lead our county through so many crises. And you're doing a great job. We're so glad to have you on this team. I now want to turn over to Wanda Willingham, a civil rights icon locally, a colleague of mine, and a true mentor. Wanda, we would love to kind of hear your thoughts on why it's so important for us to act now to help get Joe into the White House.
Thank you, Nathan. And thank you to Denise for all the hard work that you have done. I know it hasn't been easy, and especially at a time like this. but you were the perfect person to move things forward and to keep things going and to keep that energy going too. So I applaud you. I really do. I applaud you for all of the work that you do.
Coming from Wanda Willingham, that means the world to me. Nate said it. You are the civil rights leader's leader. You
You
and
did a wonderful
thank
job.
you so much.
You're
You're
very
making me
well.
cry.
Yes, we are. And Danny, I don't know where you went. I hope you're still here, but you know you're my guy. I always say that.
I'm still here. I just took the video off so I can do. I'm still working, so I apologize, and I look forward to vacation because I'm tired.
But one of the things that a couple of things that I just want to bring up. I've been to Boston. I've been to Denver, and I've been to Philadelphia. And so it looks like this time I will be in Albany as a delegate. And I feel sorry for those who are delegates and have never had that experience. If you wanted to know anything about what democracy is all about, it is found when you go to a Democratic convention. That's all that I can tell you. Anyone that wants to voice their opinion on everything is there. But one of the things that I do want to bring out right now is that this pandemic has brought a lot of things to the forefront, especially to the needs as far as, I'll say brown people, period. How people has been brought open. Pardon me? Sorry? Okay, it has.
I think somebody wasn't on mute, Wanda.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So it has brought to right in our faces on the lives that people have been leading. This whole thing with George Floyd has, just about, I think it has brought the country together as far as how true Americans feel about how people should be treated. I think the way our president, number 45, has acted is a demonstration on why we need somebody like Joe Biden and why we need to move forward this man and get him behind him. I never wavered in my support for him. I was in Washington, D.C. For the National Association of Counties, and between listening to number 45 as he presented to us, but also all of the all of the people that were there representing the counties from around the country, they were ready to vote for Joe, and that's what they did. And I knew before, I believe everyone else did around here, that he was going to win because the whole country was represented at that conference. And so I just hope that we can carry this on. I hope that we don't make the mistakes that were made with Hillary. I hope that our people of color are not forgotten. I hope we're not taken for granted as a blue state and just left to just wallow. He's going to still need us. I don't care where he runs. And we have to get that message across. Who's ever running those phone banks, they have to let people know that Joe can't walk in. He still has to run in. He still needs all of the support that he can get. And those absentee ballots need to be returned. People need to be reminded. They need to have people that they can call, because still a lot of people still don't understand how to fill them out. So we want to get the message across, go Democrat all the way and be done with it, because it's so very important. I want my constituency to know that this Democratic Party is strong, that we do have a leader. We have somebody that we can trust. We have somebody that we can have some faith in. And not only that, we have somebody that's going to take us to where we need to be in the next years, as this pandemic maybe plays out another year or not. At least we'll go in this time with someone who we know cares about all of us as Americans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanda. I am so fired up hearing that, and that's exactly what I think we all need to hear right now. So thank you so much for that. Up next, I'm very pleased to have join us all the way from New York City. Nye Whitaker is going to give us a quick campaign update, so a kind of broad idea of what's going on. I know you're going to be sharing your screen with us. So Nye, please take it away.
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for participating on this call. I love this robust conversation. Just before I begin, I want to let you know that I totally understand the amount of work it takes. I'm a vice chair of the Manhattan County Democratic Party, a county committee person. I've run for office 3 times down here. I once won by 93 votes, and after 3 recounts ended up losing by 9. So I know how crazy the system can be, our democratic process, but I'm committed to making sure that everyone's voices and votes counts. And so I'm glad to be here today. Thank you, Nathan, for the invitation and for contacting Zach. And I also want to recognize Denise, who's on the phone, who is a member of our leadership council for New York for Biden, which I'll talk to you about and explain and tell you how you can connect to us. So I'm just going to share a few slides. I find it makes it easier when we have a large group, just to kind of walk you through who we are and what we do. So New York for Biden is a grassroots group that has been started to kind of fill the gap, since the majority of the organizers that you may have been working with have now been redeployed. We are a volunteer-led grassroots organization dedicated to mobilizing volunteers, voters, and donors across New York State in support of the Biden 2020 presidential campaign. And our priorities include activating voters and recruiting volunteers across New York State, phone banking and text banking into swing states, amplifying Joe Biden's agenda on social media, encouraging conversation through virtual events with key Biden campaign surrogates, partnering with voter protection organizations like the New York Democratic Lawyers Council to train poll watchers and actively protect the vote, creating opportunities to host and participate in grassroots fundraisers, and supporting neighborhood organizations and affinity groups with a common purpose. So we are here just to kind of be almost the de facto arm of the Biden campaign on a local level. We have 14 members of our leadership council across the state, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that every volunteer who wants to be activated and every voter who wants to cast a vote can. So people are asking us constantly how they can help. And I always like to say there's a bunch of things you can do from the comfort of your couch. We need everyone's help to make sure that Joe Biden becomes the 46th president of this great United States. And I want to make sure that people know that there are 3 kind of key things that you can do. One is to RSVP to join our Action Center, which my colleague Steve Abramson will talk to you about momentarily. You can make phone calls by signing up for a phone bank. Denise has already invited you to get trained. We're having a train the trainer that she's leading so that you can help us host those. But we have a calendar of phone banks that are taking place pretty much every evening and then on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. You can download the Team Joe app. You can do that by going to the App Store for your Android or Apple phone. You can text the word Unity to 30330 to get direct text updates from the campaign. Or you can actually go to joebiden.com and register to become a grassroots fundraiser, where they will give you your own link, which you can include in your emails to your friends and neighbors to make sure that they're supporting the campaign. And for those who may be interested in kind of just noodling around on their own, figuring out where they might want to lend their time and talents, you can go to joebiden.com/organizing toolkit. I have an image up on the screen where you can kind of see all of the ways that you can connect, particularly to events and activities that are taking place. Right now, I know there's some phone banks going on to New Jersey for the New Jersey primary, which is on the 7th, which is right after a holiday weekend. So there's a bunch of people that will be phone banking tomorrow night to make sure that Jersey gets out the vote. And there's lots of ways that you can engage, again, in whatever time frame you have. We like to make sure that we meet volunteers where they're at. In terms of volunteering with us, you are, of course, welcome to go to joebiden.com, but we have our own series of events and activities. Our next event is going to be, as was already alluded to, a unity call. It's post-primary, and we need to make sure that we bring all the Dems and the independents and anyone else who wants to come to the table to join us on July 11th at 3 p.m. We will have a notable guest speaker. I can't say who it is at this time, but we'll have a notable guest speaker. We're going to have a conversation. It's scheduled to be a 90-minute call. It'll probably be about an hour and 15. We're going to have a deep dive on the campaign in terms of where we are, what states are in play that we need to focus on, and just talk about how we're moving forward and mobilizing. So just so that you know, currently we've activated 4,000 volunteers, another 10,000 on social media, and we really want to build a huge grassroots army. And that's connecting all of our Democratic and party leadership and volunteers and club members. Also bringing to the table groups like Indivisible, and others. NAACP, we've had a great conversation with. We have a robust students group, and just making sure that everyone who is committed to the common purpose of electing Joe Biden is at the table and participating us in whichever way that they're interested in. In terms of further connecting with us, I will also drop in our email and our phone number into the chat. But as the New York State lead is myself, we have Bill Walshall, who's kind of the outreach lead. He'd be the person that would work with any group to help you schedule your virtual phone banks. And he's working closely with Denise on the upstate efforts. Verity Van Tassel-Richards, I'm not sure if you know, but she's a leader out of Westchester. She runs a great organizing Westchester for Biden group that's very active. Zach Layton, who some of you may have met before, he's worked on the advance team for the vice president directly and is helping us with kind of surrogates. And then we have a leadership council of 14 members, of which Denise is your primary contact in upstate. We also have another contact further up, Jim Gustafson, who's also a county leader up there. And then we have another member who lives in Albany. Her name is Christine Flores. She's been helping with data and research to make sure that we have ways to connect with all of the groups that are out there working on similar activities. And then Zane Daniels, who's on the phone, who's the leader of our Students for Biden. And that includes both high school students, college students, students of color. We have all sorts of great groups popping up through the Vice President's League 46 activities, which is a group specifically geared to activating students, young professionals, and young elected officials. And so I have a link here again, which I will also share with Nathan, but we have a weekly e-blast that goes out that you can sign up to join, so you can find out how to plug in, whether you're plugging into the activities in Albany County, or it might be a Monday night and Albany is not hosting an event and you want to join a phone banking or a text banking effort that you see online in one of our other areas. You are all welcome. This is a new normal, and it might not be that we get a chance to door knock or get on buses or drive to talk to our neighbors and other voters in swing states, but we're definitely going to make sure we put forth the best effort via phone banking and text banking and having these community conversations like this one today to activate every possible New Yorker and get them involved and engaged. So on that note, I'm going to turn it back over. I like to remind everybody that this is all about unity, and November starts now. So thank you, Nathan, for inviting me. And I also want to open it up if Denise would like to add anything to that conversation.
I would. Nye, it's been such a pleasure to work with you. Our team of folks, they hear me talk about you. They hear me talk about our leadership team. You know, what a great honor it is for all of us to be playing together at that level. I mean, and we come at it from such different directions and such different places, you know, life experience, geography. But we have one goal, and I look at that beautiful picture of all of those people who are working together now. That really is so emblematic. I'm not a U.S. senator yet, and Nye is not yet, you know, a former mayor of New York City, but it is so emblematic of who we are as a leadership team and who we are as New Yorkers, who are all coming together to try to make this happen for somebody that we know and we respect. To do, and we're doing a lot of these. Nye's calendar is booked solid, but we are doing a lot of these, and it's just nice to do a home game. So I'm thrilled that Nye could come and meet all of you virtually, and eventually meet all of you in person. But just to reiterate what she said, so we're going to be training some people. I already got somebody from this phone call who wants to get trained as a trainer. And then we will start our upstate phone banks next Thursday at 6:30. So don't worry, you'll get lots of emails. Nye, thank you, my friends. Thank you.
I just want to say it's an honor to work with you. I also had the pleasure of being the women's vote director for the state party. And so all the work you do at Capital Women, I worked for Governor Cuomo. And so I really commend you on your passion. I thank you for your dedication. And I'm so excited that you're on this leadership team with us. And just to everyone here, whatever way that we can be of service to you to help you, if you want to host your own house party, your own phone bank, you have a question. I know I've gotten some questions specifically about some healthcare and other issues. We're going to go try to dig it up for you. If we can get you an answer, we will. If we can point you in the right direction, we will. We are here to make sure that we do this in a united manner and that we're successful in building relationships across all 62 counties of the state of New York and getting the win across the nation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nye.
I don't know if there are any questions, Nathan, before I sign off. I just have to have dinner with my family, my 18-year-old in a couple, but I'm happy to field any questions. And if not, Denise is a wealth of information. And as I said, I'm dropping my information, our group information in the chat as well.
Gotcha. I see from our chat, we have a question for how to get signed up. It sounds like we are going to channel people to joebiden.com, and there's the Action Center there. That's the best way for them to get signed up.
That's the best way if you want to get signed up to the national campaign, but you can email us at newyorkforbiden@gmail.com. I enter that into the chat, but newyorkforbiden@gmail.com. We will get right back to you with 3 quick ways that you can take action, which includes, yes, going to the Action Center to get trained, signing up for local training through Denise or the phone bank with Denise's team, and or, we also know that people might want to do stuff offline. So one of our volunteers in Westchester bought these great Ride In with Biden postcards that people can send out. We have other ways that people can get connected. We've also even been looking at how we can make sure, a gentleman noted earlier that there are volunteers and voters with disabilities. So we're looking into ways that we can partner over in Rochester to make sure that we mobilize those who may be deaf or hard of hearing. We are working with a place called the Lighthouse in New York. We have some volunteers who are blind who want to reach out to their network. So we're finding a way to engage everyone, as I said, to meet them where they're at and find a way to plug them in.
That's great.
Nye, thank you so much. And so folks who are on this call and you live in this area, you can email me, you can text me. We have somebody who's volunteering as a field organizer. We have somebody who's volunteering as a volunteer organizer. We will get you, going in whatever you want to be doing. They'll give you a call, they'll ask what you want to do, and they will get you going. And then if you just rather do it from the comfort of your couch, the Action Center. But if you want to meet people, be involved in something bigger, we will get you hooked up, and a volunteer will call you right away. So just let me know. I'm already getting things, so yes.
Denise, quick question on that for phone banks.
Yes.
The county committee meeting, the towns and cities for the county committees have to start meeting in the next few weeks, or I should say this week and next week. Would it be possible to try to put together either a training for phone banks or some sort of intro to phone banks specific to that aspect so we can announce it at our town and city committee meetings next week and try to get people energized?
Absolutely. I would love to be able to do that. Yes.
Okay. We can talk more about that. I just want to bring.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's a great point. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And then Denise, could we get the contact in the chat that we should people reach out to get in contact with your team? And what we can do is, as I'm sure we'll find more people that want to be volunteers, they can also share that contact and get a much wider group to help out. Great. It's now my privilege to bring forth our 2 fantastic county chairs, Mike Moniscalchi from Rensselaer and Jack Flynn from Albany, to give us a quick update as to the status of our absentee ballots that are still being counted. Mike, would you like to kick us off? Or I guess Jackson unmuted.
Mike, you want to go first? It doesn't matter. You got to go off mute, Mike. Mike, mute. You have to take the mute button.
Go ahead, Jack. Aid before.
That's what happened when he moved to the other side of the river, Jack.
Thanks. Is that McCoy?
Hey.
Thanks, guys. First, I want to reiterate what Wanda said, because today I had the opportunity of counting ballots all day, and there are a lot of people that do not know how to fill out ballots, and they are not counting. So educating folks to circle in the little oval is actually very key, because as I sat there today watching all these ballots, I'm like, there's a lot of votes that don't get counted just because of simple filling in the ballot. So I want to reiterate that. But today in Albany County, we counted 2,300 ballots out of 21,000. So this is going to be a long, long process. They only opened up the DA's race and John McDonald's and the First Ward Council. So out of 21,000, the county opened up 2,300 ballots. So I'm trying to get both campaigns to just run them through the machines. I don't know if anybody's been a part of this, but we're trying to get them to run them all just through the machines so we don't disenfranchise any of the voters. Because during this pandemic, let's just open up the ballots. That's my philosophy as a result of that. But we do have results. Dan McCoy again right now is picked up 760 61 votes. Wanda, what's that? Wanda Willingham was second with 683. Dorsey Appears 653. Myself 571. Then Carol Weaver with 459, and then Ed Veroff 397. So we're still in the lead. Joyce Love did pick up 450, so she's probably the 8th person as of right now. So that's where we are. I don't know how you guys did, Mike, but we were very slow today, and we got to speed up the process so that we can get these results done in a week. So thank you all. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Daniel McCoy, for being such a great guy. And Wanda, I haven't seen you in a while, Wanda, but good to hear from you.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, Mike.
Thank you, Jack. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, you're good to go.
Yes.
So we're a little slower than Albany County because we didn't start opening yet till tomorrow morning. So we will commence the absentee counting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp. We have 4 minor primaries that got to get open in East Greenbush, and then we're going to move on to John McDonald's Assembly District. But as some of you may know, our county is almost equally divided between 2 congressional districts, and since the delegates run by congressional district, I thought I would just give you the statistics, which is all I can give you right now, is how many ballots were issued and how many were received at this point. In the 19th congressional district, which is Antonio Delgado's congressional district, there were 2,331 absentee ballots issued. To date, 1,798 have been returned. In the 20th congressional district, which most of you have the most interest in, we issued 4,326 absentee ballots, and 3,342 have been returned. For those of you who have an interest in the 108th Assembly District, there were 2,431 absentee ballots issued, or returned, 2,431 ballots issued, 1,787 have been returned in the 108th Assembly District. So overall in our county, we had about a 77% return rate based on 6,657 ballots issued, 5,140 returned. So like I said, we'll begin at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Carol Weaver is here with me now. We will both be down at the Board of Elections tomorrow, and I'm sure Carol will report back to you on the delegate count as we get through it.
Hey, Mike, I just want to
That's
follow, if I could just say something, that as a result of the absentees, voter turnout is almost a record right now. Albany County has between 34,000 and 35,000 voters. Usually in a countywide election, it's between 20 and 25,000. So we, the county executive and our assembly are gonna have to look at the cost effectiveness if, as a result of this election, the amount of people that are voting is great. So I hope we can move forward, possibly doing absentees in general elections, but that's gonna be a discussion that the county ledge, like yourself, Nathan, is gonna have to look. I actually talked to Sam Fine today about it. I said, Sam, it's great. The voter turnout was incredible. And we may have to go back to giving everybody an absentee ballot, but that's economical, and is it worth it going forward?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to update you on all that.
Thank you, Jack. I guess if we don't get the campaigns to run the ballots through the machines, it sounds like it's going to take us the next 10 or so business days before we'll have a final answer. Is that fair?
Yeah, do the math. We basically opened 1/10 of the ballots today, so figure 10 days at least to do it. So hopefully the camps can agree. Just let the voters vote. Let it just go through, and hopefully we can do that.
Okay. Great. Any questions for Jack and Mike? Thank you both for coming on our call today.
Welcome.
All right. You can also chat in any questions that you have. We'll try to get those to Jack and Mike. Thank you for leading us through this. It's definitely great to see this this turnout, and we're definitely in unprecedented waters. All right. Well, I'm fired up from this call. We've had a lot of people talk about the kind of need for Joe Biden to become a president and all the ways that we can help. I wanted do we have Stephen Abramson on the phone? Is he here with us today?
Yeah, I'm here.
Outstanding. All right. Let me add you as a co-host. Stephen is from the Biden campaign, is going to help us talk a little bit more about, we're all in this position, we're all in this state that is going to vote for Biden. How do we make a big impact in those swing states? Stephen's going to help us talk through that. So Stephen, please take it away.
Okay, Nathan, thank you very much. Just so you know, I'm actually a retired businessman who got involved heavily in politics on the first Obama campaign in 2008. Spent 6 weeks in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, practically moved in there. 2012 was in Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio for Obama. And then on the Hillary Clinton campaign, I spent 9 months managing a national call center in Lower Manhattan, where we literally were calling 50 states to help get her elected, which of course we know how that turned out. So that's why we're here today, because we're here today to get Joe Biden elected. And one of the things about New York, as you all know, is that, Biden will win it. So he's not really going to be campaigning here. So we need all of our people and all of the energy we have in this state to turn to other states to win those battleground states. And one of the things that we're doing right now is recruiting volunteers so that we can have literally a massive volunteer army that is fired up and ready to go, and will be making calls to the battleground states and what other states the campaign is telling us that we should do. Phone banking really works. And there's data that will say, well, for every 20 calls that you make, you'll get 2 to 3 votes. And I actually think that's a little conservative. I think you can even do a lot better. Now, what we're doing now is, there'll really be 2 types of phone calls that we're going to make. Later on, we'll be doing get out the vote calls, GOTV as we call it. And that's where we're telling people who are Biden supporters, who are Democrats, independents, they could even be Republicans, it doesn't matter, where they can vote, what their hours are, and we work with them to make a plan for voting. One of the things we're not doing this time around is trying to make persuasion phone calls. So what we're doing now is we're calling it sort of like relational campaigning. We're building a volunteer network. And I could tell there's obviously very experienced people on this call, but you're going to get a lot of first-time phone bankers. And they're going to be a little bit nervous. And we're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage because we won't be in a room together. When you're in a room together, then you can compare notes. You can go over different kinds of questions that people are asking. What are best practices? And it gives you a lot of advantage. We won't quite have that advantage, although we have been doing some Zoom phone banking where everyone's on together. They go up, make phone calls. We take about a 15 to 20 minute round of calls. They come back and we compare notes and help people go through the process. So let me share the screen now. And hang on one sec, I'll get there. Okay, you all can see that now. We're on the Joe Biden website. This will be the first thing that comes up, actually, when anybody goes to the Joe Biden website, is donations, but we are not going to be asking for donations. We will be going right to the Action Center. And you can see on the Action Center, there's a lot of different things that people can do. So they can click on find an event near you, and you can see what kind of events are happening nearby where you live. Download the Team Joe app, as Nye was saying earlier. Create your own graphics, the toolkit, contact an organizer. It's a very well-stocked website in terms of activities. But we're going to look at the make phone calls for Joe Biden. Now, I wanted to just dispel about 3 myths that there are regarding phone banking. And as I said earlier, we're not going to be calling swing voters or Republicans who are Trump supporters. We're not trying to persuade them to switch their vote. What we're really trying to do is to make sure that we get complete turnout for Democrats, because we know if we get turnout, we're going to win. The second thing is that making these calls is not really hard to do. They're really quite easy. We're not asking for money. On these recruitment calls, we're actually calling Biden supporters. We're not calling Republicans on these calls. And you'll find that they've been actually quite nice and quite helpful, and people are looking for ways to help. I can't tell you how many people come to me or come to our group and say, what can I do? I want to see Joe Biden elected, and there's just got to be something that I can do for it. So what we're saying you can do is go to the site, go to the phone banking site on the website, click Call Supporters in New York, and you will see this screen come up. And all you have to do, well, you can schedule a time that you want to make phone calls, but you can also click Make Calls Now. Okay, then you'll see this screen where you'll be at an open virtual phone bank, open VPB, and click Get Started. Now I have an action ID that it automatically loads the names in for me, but some people will need to get action IDs, which is not a hard thing to do at all. So here's the first call. A woman named Mildred Ray. It's a 53-year-old female. And we're essentially going to be asking them 3 questions. So the first thing that we say when she answers the phone is, hello, is Ms. Ray available? My name is Steve, and I'm a volunteer calling with Joe Biden. So you want to identify yourself right away. So the first thing we're asking them is, in the midst of COVID-19, how are you doing? All right, and that's the first question. You can see the box there where we choose an option, and it could be any one of these responses that the individual gives you. Now, there's a very long script here regarding COVID-19, regarding systemic racism. I'm just scrolling through it now. Campaigns often give you very long scripts, but our guidance to folks is to make it so that you're comfortable with it and use your own words. Because if you said all this stuff, you'd be on the phone for 15 minutes and you really wouldn't really get anywhere. So the key question is, would you be interested in joining a virtual event with members of your community, much like we're doing tonight? So the script says that we want to empower our supporters to make a difference in their communities. We want to host virtual community meetings. And, you know, the fact is that we're all kind of separated, unfortunately, in a way that we're not usually on a campaign. So we're looking to build a virtual community of people who want to see Joe Biden elected President of the United States and to get rid of Donald Trump once and for all. So in many cases, we find that people are really hungry for this. They really are looking to reach out. And for some people, especially some of our elderly community members, they are so interested in doing something. And what we want to be able to do is kind of hold their hands so that they're able to make these phone calls. Anyway, so the first thing we're asking them, would you be interested in joining on a virtual event? And one of the things that I do is, if I hear any hesitation in their voice, or they're not sure, or they've never done it before, and I say to them, why don't you just try one? Try one, see how you feel, see if you like it, and that may prompt you to want to do another one. And, you know, that's what we're hoping for. Then, of course, the final question is, are you planning on supporting Joe Biden in November? And I think all of you have seen these options before, whether they're strong Biden or leaning towards Biden, undecided. I don't know who other would be, or if they're not voting, or Trump. But the people that we're calling for recruitment are going to be all strong Biden supporters. That's essentially it. If there are any questions, I could take them now, but I think you're basically seeing what we're going to be doing, how these phone banks are going to work, and training is going to be very, very important. And I'll be doing a lot of that over the next couple of weeks and months, because again, and I want to make this point very clear, you're going to find people doing this for the first time, and they're not going to know exactly how to do it. So we also have side rooms on the Zoom calls where we can train people on an individual basis. And that's it. I mean, if everybody saw the phenomenal fundraiser with Barack Obama and Joe Biden, in which President Obama said, well, whatever it is that you're doing now, you've got to do more, right? And he also said, help is on the way, but you've got to do the work. So we don't know if we're going to be going door to door, if there's going to be buses going out to Pennsylvania and other battleground states. That remains to be seen. So the phone banks and the text banks are going to be extremely important. And we're starting them now. So Nathan, that's basically it from my end.
Thank you so much, Stephen. That was a fantastic presentation. I've been doing text and phone calls for Joe using the app. There's a whole Slack channel for those that want to get involved there. It's been super easy. The pencil program has been fantastic. And so even if you're not the kind of person that does this kind of stuff, the Joe Biden campaign has done a really fantastic job making this the simplest, easiest way. You know, say you have a hard day at work, you can blow off some steam by ensuring that Trump loses. And that's super easy. Are there any questions for Stephen now that we have him on the phone right now? I see Lisa, do you have one? You might need
She has to unmute.
yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My biggest challenge with phone banking, over the past several years has just been voicemail and answering machines. So what is your best strategy for that?
Well, we don't leave a message. In fact,
Okay.
I meant to show you what happens if you don't reach somebody. But there's only really a couple of choices. So if you get an answering machine, you get voicemail, you don't leave a message, you'll record that, and then it'll just go around again to that individual will get called by another volunteer. You'll also see if someone hangs up on you or says, don't ever call me, there's a button called refused, and you'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also buttons if you get a wrong number, if the number is disconnected, if the person is moved, if the person is deceased. And those are the basic categories that you'll run into if you don't have a conversation with an individual.
Okay, thank you. And what is the phone number that comes up? Because everyone has a caller ID. Is it your number that you're calling from, or is it a general number from the campaign?
Well, if you'll be using your own cell phone, so
Okay.
your number will come up.
Okay.
I have done thousands of these, and I've managed hundreds and hundreds of people on phone banks. It's very rare that you'll get somebody calling you back because they see your number. It almost never happens, and occasionally it does.
Yeah.
But there is a tactic that you can do. You can do *671 area code number, and that will not reveal your number. However, the recipient of the call will see no caller ID, and we have found that could be a little bit of a turnoff for someone answering the phone.
Yeah,
text banking, by the way, your phone number is never seen because you're doing that pretty much on a laptop or a desktop computer or even your phone. But in text banking, no one sees your phone number.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about revealing my phone number. I'm just concerned about getting people to actually pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And say hello and not just,
I know.
I don't know this number. I don't know who this is. I'm just going to let it go to voicemail.
Right. Well, that's why it's kind of a numbers game.
Right.
If we can get 10,000 people making 100 calls, you'll get 1 million calls, and it can be done in a couple of hours. So it really isn't, you just have to keep banging away at it. Don't get frustrated. That's another reason why we want to have some of these Zoom meetings so we can talk to folks who are making calls. Because some people get frustrated. They'll say, well, I just made 20 calls. Nobody's home, or no, I didn't get to speak to anybody. And I would always say to them, it's par for the course. Don't worry about it. You just got to keep going at it.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Stephen? All right. Well, I want to thank Stephen, Nye, Denise, all of our delegates, Dan and Wanda, Jack and Mike, all of you all for coming out today. I'm so fired up for Joe Biden. I know that you guys are as well. And we're going to take all of this hard work. We're going to channel it into the campaign to make the difference in the swing states, right where it's going to matter the most. So if you haven't had a chance to copy down Denise's email, I'll be forwarding that on to people at the end of the call who signed up. Please also sign up, as Zane's putting in our text, for the Joe for New York Facebook group. And we will get you working and doing awesome, easy things to do that can really make the difference in this election. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on out, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Talk to everyone later.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nate.
Bye-bye. Thank you.